African culture, African tradition, like there's that element of letting our kids be free. And like when they're free in this evolved time period, like there's a harsher tone on that freedom. Cause like back then, like take Gussie for example, wherever I go, man, there's an element of danger, but then there's also a trust in that like my environment is looking after me. There isn't any consequences for not doing what we're supposed to do. True. In a sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so I can't walk up to somebody's gate and be like, well, now you don't show up. Like,
yeah. So there's no accountability.
Yeah.
If you do or you don't do something, there's no consequence.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And I found it weird that we weren't playing soccer in the park. So I've come to learn that Region 3, which is responsible for parks and recreation, they say that it's illegal to play in the parks. So now we're forced to like play on the like two one-way road, you check.
Yeah.
And whenever I tried to engage with them, like my background was always there, like coming forth. So now people never really understood me fully because like they've only seen me in this environment.
Yeah. Understanding your mortality.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, we postpone it. We know it because, you know, everybody one day we're going to die, but I don't think we embrace it. I don't think we embrace our own mortality. We think we are invincible.
Yeah.
We live like we're not going to die, and we postpone this thought of mortality. It's not legal to play in a park, but parks are open, man, and they are not being used. And kids it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Kids need a place to play sports. It's weird that they're not allowed to play in a park, you know. You are breaking the law. So what I was saying,
illegal gathering.
So what I was saying with this is like, man, we just need a ground to play in.
So whenever parents are involved, things usually lost, like children's dreams as well as like their participation in like activities. There seems to be like more enthusiasm, more dedication too. And then like what I've noticed is that kids have a standard, but they're not sure where it should be according to like the environment. So like caretakers, guardians are the ones, like we're the ones who set the standard for them to like follow too.
Yes. Welcome everybody. This is Eugene with the Good Podcast. Today I have a guest, Ofentse Mokhethi. We are going to be chatting, and he will introduce himself, and then we will engage on different topics. So without any further ado, man, thank you for coming.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. And like he said, I'm Ofentse Mokhethi. I'm the firstborn at home of a household of 3. And I'm kind of like the only one who had toys, but I played with bricks as like cars and was building empires and stuff. So a lot of imagination power. And then I think that humanitarianism is like a form of expression for me. So with everything that I do, I believe it's better to stay real. And that's just who I am, sir.
Yeah, man, that's good, man. Thanks a lot for coming, man. I just want you to take us through where did you grow up? You come from a family of 3. I come from a family of 4. I'm a middle child. Are you the firstborn at home?
Yeah, like I'm the firstborn.
Okay.
And I grew up in Sebokeng.
Okay.
So it's like a rural area, but
it's like a Kasi rural semi. Okay.
But right now it's very advanced. Hey, the only thing that's wrong with the place is the streets.
Okay.
And then moving here, it was kind of like a major transformation.
Okay.
So I'm still like a Kasi boy at heart, but I guess getting used to a new environment and like new cultures, it really broadened my perspective.
Okay.
Sure. And then like I have a brother and a sister, so
So you play the big brother role, man. That's impressive, man. I'm a middle child, so you know that thing they call middle child syndrome. I've experienced it all my life. And I know my big brother, who's the firstborn, it's different for him. So you and him can relate, from that, perspective. And you say you come from Sebokeng, man. I have contacts in Sebokeng. I know, people that I went to varsity with. There's this guy named Utsepo. I went to, University of Pretoria with him. Man, I have memories there.
True.
I have memories in Sebokeng. So in which time period did you sort of grow up in Sebokeng? Was it in the 2000s? Was it in the 90s, 95s? Which period?
So yeah, I was born in 99. So
Okay.
I'm 25.
Okay.
And then I grew up in the early 2000s.
In the early 2000s.
Yeah, and by 2010, I was living in Lotus.
Oh, so you moved from Sebokeng to Pretoria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then from there, I've been moving around Pretoria because like I've been trying to get an experience of like the entire space. And then when you say the middle child syndrome thing, yeah, like my brother has one too. Like I try to get him to cooperate in a way that it helps everybody, but like at some point, we have to just let things let the chaos be.
I know, man. I know. I get, but you are in the age of 25. I remember when I was 25, that's when I lost the after effects and the things that come with being a middle child, the psychological part of it. Mm-hmm. But before that, I was deep, man. I was deep in feeling I'm not valued enough in the home. I'm not loved. Mm-hmm. I'm sure your brother will know. So, but when I was 25, that all left, man. That was gone. I began to have like close relationship with my mom, close relationship with my dad. But the time period just before 25, let's say 21 to 25, I was just, full of resentment, feeling like, okay, I'm 23, I'm 21. That whole middle child thing just hit me hard at that time. But by the time I was 25, it was gone. I began to value, my parents, my mother in particular. I began to feel like, what if I lose her? Mm-hmm. So, but most middle children, they feel like that for the most part. They're like, no, you love the firstborn more than me, and the lastborn is love. Yours is even worse because you are 3. So the lastborn, they probably have a certain love and connection with the parents. Then the firstborn also is always the case. Then the middle child feels like, you love the lastborn, you love the firstborn. What about me? So in your case, man, how do you feel, and what is your experience as a firstborn at home?
I tried to approach it the way I approach like school. So what I've noticed is that if parents give a responsibility to me, then they kind of make me like a co-manager of the environment. So what I feel like second-born struggle with mostly is that authority. Whereas like if I exercise my authority and let's say my brother sees me and he's like, you're not my parent, so I can't really listen to you like that. But then it means he can do the same thing to the parent too. Because I feel like it's the management that's speaking. It's not necessarily like my parenting per se. Yeah. So what I've noticed a lot is, and it might get me in trouble with like firstborns, man. Yeah. I feel like we have to do like a training for the younger kids. True. Because where we try to put each other on level ground. Yeah. Because what I've noticed a lot is, especially with my youngest sibling, where we can speak to our parents freely and we're mindful of like the consequences. And I feel like with middle children, like the consequences, like parents are very lenient on middle children. Okay. So yeah, like I feel like that lack of strictness, it also leads to like that feeling of the resentment. True. Because like firstborns can advocate for the younger sibling, like take part of the punishment with. But like I've never seen a middle child go and be like,
they're never too hard on the middle child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now being level, like I feel like seeing eye to eye, like that could also help with relationship with the parents, with the siblings. And so far my little brother is experiencing a time period where he's learning about building his character.
Yeah.
So hopefully like you fellow middle children can like show each other the light.
True, man. True. I sort of have an experience with from my dad's side, man, all my brothers, 3 of them, the last born, and then 2 elder brothers to me. They always feel like I'm the favorite to my dad. But to my mom is the younger brother and the firstborn, the last born and the firstborn. So I sort of have that thing where the struggling with authority coming from your big bro, and him trying to show you the way, and you sort of feeling like why are you the one who has to, give me orders and stuff? But at some point, I grew out of that. I began to understand that, it's, parents don't have to do everything when there is, a child that is already responsible now, who can teach other kids, this is how we do this. When they say this is what they mean. This is what we need to do. So I think, your younger brother will grow out of that. And also most of the responsibility is on you to lead and also just show him the way and, be a role model, set an example. And I think, coming into this conversation, man, I wanted us to talk a lot about the things that you are doing in the community in Pretoria. And also, it's sort of, now that you have told me about the setup at home, it sort of, gives me a segue into what we're going to talk about. The fact that you're a sports coach, you teach kids soccer, and you are a leader of of sorts in the community. And also, it comes from home, and it doesn't really just come out of nowhere, and then you are a leader without being empowered. So I think it's very important as parents. Also, before we started the show, you met my son. He's the firstborn. So, and I sort of teach him that you are the big brother. And then if at school there are things that he needs to step up to and take initiative, he already has that grounding at home, or the teaching, empowering him to be, the big brother, the leader. And now that it's winter season, kids, or boys or young men are going into initiation. So it sort of builds character. It leads them. And I wouldn't take his younger brother to initiation before him. So most of the things that our parents empower us with is not only for our benefit, it's also for the young ones. You have 2 younger siblings. So whatever they have taught you, whatever impartation into your life is for the benefit of the younger one. So I want us to now get into, sort of take a segue and talk about the work that you do in the community, and then maybe you can even tell our audience, how did we meet? And I think this is a continuation of the topic that we talked about last time we met. And I feel it's very important that we sort of participate in the community and help address some of the things that our communities are going through. So yeah, take me through, how did you get into this thing of being a sports coach? And then we'll take it from there.
Cool. Well, thank you for the segue. It's a really good foundation.
Sure.
So I started out by first going to a couple of groups. There were people who would be playing soccer on the street, or be playing by like the flats. I'm not sure what the name is.
Yeah.
And I found it weird that we weren't playing soccer in the park. So I've come to learn that Region 3, which is responsible for parks and recreation, they say that it's illegal to play in the parks. So now we're forced to like play on the like two one-way road, you check.
Yeah.
And whenever I tried to engage with them, like my background was always there, like coming forth. So now people never really understood me fully because like they've only seen me in this environment.
Yeah.
But like I said, I grew up where there's no roads.
Yeah.
So it was like I could make anything a toy basically.
Yeah. Bricks.
Like, yeah.
Like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd create roads with the brick. Like we'd create like compounds, complexes.
Yeah.
And whenever that side of me like shows up, people don't really know how to like interact with it. Cause like, I don't think they've engaged with their imagination to that point, you check. So from there, I moved away from the groups. Like I kept getting these ideas of like, I should really explore the environment fully. And then I went to primary schools. So the interesting thing is that I was attending like Witwatersrand University.
Okay. You went to Wits.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a big sports university with soccer and other sports. I'm sure rugby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They take everything seriously there, bro.
Yeah.
So I actually got sick like my second semester and I had to come back home.
Okay.
So upon my return, like I noticed that my environment was like, it wasn't normal.
Okay.
Like it was regular, but it wasn't abnormal in a sense.
It was changing for the negative. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the primary schools that did like my coaching thing and I tried to treat everything professionally, but like I noticed that the pressure to be professional when I'm not qualified, it was clashing with like my character and the environment itself.
Yeah.
And then, I used to wait for my sister after school while she's like, cause when she became a senior, they leave like 15 minutes later.
Okay.
So now while I'm waiting outside, like I'd play with the kids. They had marbles. Okay. We would wrestle.
Yeah.
Like maybe they chased me around or something. They made me like carry them.
Yeah.
And like that nurturing, like when that nurturing was developed in me, I started noticing that they need that same element like in all the environments.
Yes.
So I went to Guarazon Primary School and I asked if they could like get like assistant teachers. They could get people who could assist them with building a bridge between like parents and school, environment and school. Cause like the school seems to be isolated like on its own. And I've read the works of like S.K. Mpahleli where he inspired like people to go to schools at night. They would have night school. They would bring up topics and it sort of became a formal thing to the point where he actually has a background with like University of Witwatersrand as well.
Yeah.
So he inspired that idea to the point where I thought it would be cool if those people who are at home while everybody's at work, like myself, like if we could have a social development center, a space where we're responsible for our environment instead of our environment and us like having divisions.
Yeah.
So I first went to Guarazon Primary School. I went to West Park Primary School after that.
Yeah.
And then what I noticed is that if I'm volunteering, like I recognize my growth and the kids recognize my growth.
Yeah.
But like the school on the formal side, like they don't acknowledge it.
Oh, okay.
Although they do recognize my work.
Yeah.
So that's when I ended up going to the TUT Res.
Yeah.
And
you told me about the TUT thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I keep increasing my CV with each environment you check.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's helping me grow like as a professional, but what I've noticed is that I had to step away from people. Like remember at the beginning I stepped away from people.
Yeah. And
whenever I go back to them, I keep trying to inspire them to see their environment the same way.
Okay.
And that's the thing that was happening at Kasi.
Okay.
Like at Kasi, I could go anywhere. But like here, there's fears and there's like shame happening, you check. So I feel like the kids as well, that's something that they they're coming out of with more engagement.
Yeah.
So we had a tournament here at West Park Primary, and there were like all sports available, and everybody was having like great time.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned the family day at Small City.
Small City, yeah.
Yeah, like engagements like that where everybody can be involved and the children play that responsibility within the environment. Like, I think that's what's necessary. That's what differentiates here and rural areas.
Yeah,
too.
rural or like us.
Sure.
Yeah, man. But I hear you with the point of when you try to go back to people, you try to inspire them to look at their environment the same way, or sort of teleport the way you are thinking to them, to inspire them to view their surroundings, and then that could be like a support structure for you if the people around you also have the same mentality when it comes to the kids. And I think it's very difficult, man, in an urban space. I think it's Kokasi or in the rural. I come from rural also, by the way. I come from Limpopo. Even though I'm not good at soccer, I've been part of soccer teams, multiple soccer teams, and I think they function much better in rural and Ekasi. There's a lot of, social cohesion, in a rural area, and, people, Ekasi also, they're sort of much closer than the suburb, even though our place is not really super, suburbia, is like, sort of half suburb, half Kasi. But, there's a disconnect in terms of, I can tell you, I don't know 5 of my neighbors on this street where we are right now. But at Kokasi, you can know the whole street. In the village, know the whole village. It's true. Everybody, even people who stay 50 houses away from you, they know who stays in that house, how many kids are in that house. When they meet a young kid, they know you come from that house. Kokasi is the same vibe. And if you're trying to build something of that nature, bringing up the children, coaching them with sports, I think it gets more successful in a setup like a rural or a gas. But here where we are, I can understand the challenges you are facing. And also I've been part of some initiatives here, but they never go anywhere because a person may be here today, 2 months from now or 5 months from now, before the year is finished, they're no longer here, they're living somewhere else. And then whatever you were trying to build, that person who's leaving may be a pivotal part of what you're trying to build. So it's a challenging space that you are in, man. But you are a born leader, and like I said, it comes from your background at home, being the firstborn, and now the multiple teams that you have led with the young kids. So I think also where you are going, these challenges that will also, inspire you to find solutions. So, and I remember when we met at Kwaha Primary, there was a guy there who mentioned that he had a team. The team was in a league. He was looking for a sports ground or a field where the team could play. He has kit, he has equipment, he has the resources. But the environment where we are in, it's challenging also. So I think those are the challenges that you are going to face. But in your opinion, what do you think, man, is the best way? Because I'm very passionate also. And I didn't tell you before we started, my son is like very good at soccer. He's very good at soccer. I'm not that good. My son is very good. I've bought him like 2 soccer boots, 2 pairs already in the past year. He's very good. He's very fit in terms of exercising. He likes to exercise. He teaches me some of the exercises that he learns, and he has a coach at his school and at his community also, not here, but in Joburg. So in Joburg, there's a coach. That's why I'm saying it's a classy setup, and then the coach there is supported by the people in the community. Go Middlelands. They give the kids support, and I'm also, the mother calls me, I support him. I give him sports equipment. I buy him stuff. I buy him soccer balls. And also and he takes the balls to his coach. So, and I'm sure also the families there, Kokasi, they support those kids. So if there's a team of 22 kids or 23 kids, there's like support from 22 parents or even more. So in a setup like here where we are, I mean, what do you think is the solution that we should be looking at exploring, just to go to a point where you can have a team that can go on for 5 years, 10 years and get support to build it? What do you think is one of the things that, or a few things that we should do as community or people who are passionate, maybe from our own personal reasons or for the fact that we have kids who are going to benefit from these things? What do you think we should do, or what are some of your ideas that could solve this disconnect that we have?
So first I want to applaud for like the participation.
Yeah.
So whenever parents are involved, like
Yeah.
things usually lost, like children's dreams as well as like their participation in like activities. There seems to be like more enthusiasm, more dedication too. And then like what I've noticed is that kids have a standard, but they're not sure where it should be according to like the environment. So like caretakers, guardians are the ones, like we're the ones who set the standard for them to like follow too.
Yes.
So I've gone to Centurion City.
Okay.
It's like Littleton.
Yeah.
And there's a sports park there where there's a soccer team called Centurion Blues.
Okay.
So they're crowdfunded by the community.
Yes.
And they've been going strong for like a while. And they participate in a league as well.
Wow.
So they get their funding for not just the equipment, but also for like participating in the league. So to become affiliated, it's necessary to have the proper funding. So that guy that we met at the primary school, he couldn't get affiliated because he didn't have that crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned the social development center,
yes,
I was hoping for situations where if I do start a team myself, or if he wants to bring his team back, or there's also a girl who started a netball team.
Okay.
So she has like senior team where it's like parents, they go to like games, they have a league that they participate in.
Yeah, this is like adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she invites kids to come over and to like play in her team as well. So what I've noticed is that our environment is almost there. Like the only thing that we need to do is like to endure.
Yeah.
So remember I was telling you that I started doing calisthenics.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is that it's not the first time where I started doing a workout and then I stopped.
Yeah.
So usually when I stop, me returning back to that state before I started working out, it's always painful.
Yeah.
But like if I continue, then I get to grow. And I also get to like benefit from the effort that I put in.
Yeah.
So what I noticed for our environment specifically is that if I stop going to spaces and like I'm at home and I'm not really doing anything, like it kind of limits my growth.
True.
And it's also painful.
Yeah. To restart.
Yeah.
When you have to restart, it's painful. So So the best thing to do, I feel like, is if we continue to show up. Yeah.
And then I've had instances where I did go speak to my neighbors.
Okay.
Like I went house to house trying to find out like what do they really want from me. Cause like I noticed that I have a responsibility. Like Kokasi is the same thing. Like everybody has responsibilities.
Yes.
Like there's no chairperson, but like everybody's like playing their role, you know?
Yeah.
So I notice here like things are formal, but like there isn't any consequences for not doing what we're supposed to do. True. In a sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so I can't walk up to somebody's gate and be like, well, now you don't show up. Like,
yeah. So there's no accountability.
Yeah.
If you do or you don't do something, there's no consequence.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, man. And you mentioned something there when you say the Centurion community or in Littleton. I know Littleton, man. Some of the things we have here, when I was preparing this setup, I bought them from there. There's a place there that sells some good art. Even these paintings, I bought them from there. So what I've noticed about Centurion, bridging the gap now, or sort of bringing these two things together. You have Kasi. In here in Pretoria, we have Atteridgeville. And then you have this place where we are, which is in between. You compare it with Centurion. You have this place, which is sort of like a hybrid of Ekasi and the high-end suburb, which is the Centurion suburbs. And the behaviors of parents and issues we face in these type of communities, they are different. So I'm exposed to Centurion because I used to sell houses around there. I used to drive around looking for property. Even on a weekend or during the week, you will see the participation of parents on a sport event or on a community sporting gathering. You will be shocked when you see the turnout and how many people show up. It just blows your mind that the support that the parents are giving whoever is organizing this thing is outstanding.
Shout out to the parents, bro.
Damn, man, it's a lot of support, and parents show up. Not just one or two parents, the whole family, the uncles and all that, they will show up. It will be like a stadium.
Have you seen like the Centurion High School?
Yeah.
Whenever they have a rugby team, like a rugby sport play.
Hectic, man.
Bro, like when you'll feel like it's a official match. There's gonna be broadcasted. Bro.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. It gets packed, man. And I want us to bring Ulisedi here, man. Ubrales. What I've noticed with the suburbs, because this is middle class. Like we're living in a middle class area, and the fact that we are middle class, it's sort of like we are brought up to imitate white people. Like, let's be open about it. We are living in an environment where they used to live.
Yeah.
In Pretoria West, for example, there are many other semi-suburbs like this where white people, as soon as we moved in, they moved out.
Yeah, they moved to leave.
You know, they left and went to places like your Centurion and places like that, places like your Pretoria East. And areas that are like more high end, and there are still black people there, but there are very few. And if you go there, you're going to meet black people that are very good at supporting their children. They are like 20% of the neighborhood. There is 80% white people and 20% black. Those blacks that are there, they are going to do as the whites do. And I have to say this, like, white people are very good at parenting. It's not a racist thing to say, but if we can learn from them, we could be much better parents, supportive. We could show up to every sport event of our children, even a midweek practice. White people will show up. Big events, the whole family, 10 people will come to support that one child. But with us as black people, I've seen that we have that Kasi mentality. I think it's not because of our own doing. That's how we grew up. If you take us as Pretoria West and other places like that, you take Atteridgeville, where most of the people who stay in Pretoria West, they grew up in Atteridgeville. They grew up in other Kasi areas. They have that mentality of, I'm working. I'm going to work. I can't be watching your practice. I can't be coming to your rugby. Not to even say that there's rugby. There's no rugby, Kasi. I can't be coming to your soccer game.
Sure.
What madness is this? Must I leave the job that I'm doing? Come and watch your sports game practice? Must I not buy grocery, buy pack, and buy you soccer boots? But the suburbs, they have like a full range of kit. The parents will buy their kids cricket equipment, soccer balls, soccer kit, and all this equipment that they need. But Kasi, and that's what I was saying. I want to bridge the gap between the Kasi, the suburbs, and an area which is semi-suburb. You have parents here who aspire to be like the whites, but they come from an environment where a soccer game is not important in the food chain of things that they have to do. They have to go to work. They have to buy groceries. They have to buy uniform. soccer, and soccer boots is the last thing they are worried about. And when you are building an initiative, you want to build a team, and you are dealing with parents like this, is very difficult. So I think you are right to say that we need to step up. The parents need to do more and be involved more, like what we see in the other areas that are doing well in sports for the kids. They come out when it's game time, when it's time to support the kids. They are there every single day without a fail. I think if you are a person like yourself building something that will benefit the parents and the kids, the parents have to be participative. Like, they must participate wholeheartedly. They must not do a half job. Like, one day they can buy the soccer boots, another day they don't want to. They have priorities. So I think that's one thing that can be done, man. Also, man, I think there's moving on to another topic. There is the issue of drugs, the issue of crime, in our community. And also, it's even worse in Kokasi, Kosibukeng, or Atteridgeville. Crime is very high there. A lot of criminals are being incubated in those areas. So I think it starts from a young age, and the work that you're doing with wanting to work with kids and looking for support to bring up the kids, I think is going to address the issue of crime, the issue of drugs. Drugs is a big problem, man. There is a lot of children that are, everywhere they walk in the streets, they are seeing someone who's on drugs. They see someone who's a drunkard that they have known their whole life. And it's affecting the participation of kids in sports, because, most of the community are sort of living the life of just hanging out, drinking, doing drugs. So if you have kids who are not participating in sports, it becomes a problem. I want us to talk about that. What do you think it's the cause, man, of why we have so many young kids now? I think in their 13 years old to 17, that age, high school, grade 8 to grade 11, grade 12. What do you think is one of the main causes why? Of course, we're talking about community projects, but what do you think is one of the biggest contributor to having children that are gravitating more towards the life of crime, the life of drugs, being mindful of the time that we are living in, social media? So what do you think is one of the biggest problems that is contributing to that? And maybe we can talk about solutions also.
Okay, well, thankfully I have the answer to that, right?
Yeah.
So it's called dysregulation. So dysregulation is whenever there's a state of chaos, but then like the solutions that could be implemented are not really being like implemented. So I've seen a few examples of what you're saying. When I had to pick my soccer team this year, I had to choose from over 70 kids.
Wow.
And it was an easy selection because I knew that I wasn't really looking for kids who were playing good. Okay. I was also looking for like kids that could evolve.
Yes.
So when I was done with the selection, like I had an hour to find the team.
Okay.
Like I found them in like 15, 20 minutes.
So they showed up, like they were there for you to pick 70 kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like, I really wanted the rest to like find teams. So I knew that there's teams in the community they could go to, but like they said that either it's too expensive, the distance is too much, their parents can't really commit to them, like taking them there and stuff. And I've also seen kids like walking in the neighborhood alone or like going to bicycle.
Practice.
Yeah, like
wow.
Like small Inter Miami boy.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I feel like dysregulation is what's causing it, because they know that they want to do something.
Yeah.
And they know where they can do it.
Yeah.
But like they can't really access the environment.
Okay.
And they can't continue like growing their potential.
Yes.
So now, instead of fulfilling the idea of the vision that they have, now they're trying to like switch it off.
Okay.
Because like I said, like the more I travel, then the more the environment keeps challenging me. But if I stay in one space, like I kind of get too comfortable, and then I realize like those ideas, that chaos, the negativity, they start trying to like penetrate and like use me instead of me being like a vessel to be used in the environment. So what I noticed with the kids as well as like my peers and like maybe early 30s as well, most of them, they don't recognize that social responsibility. So now they trying to switch off. They keep trying to switch off.
The call is there, but
the call is there.
They're not answering or responding.
And like it's like with working out, you know, when I stop working out, I lose muscle mass, and then I have to restart all over again. And it's daunting, because like in reality, I shouldn't have stopped. So now I'm going to look at myself two ways. Like, I resent myself for stopping, and then I also resent that I have to like go through that transformation again. But then the third thing, and what I've noticed with nature as well, like all we have to do is remain grateful. Because like if I'm hungry, for example, and then I'm thinking like, where can I get money, or where can I get a job? Because I've applied for like so many jobs, I didn't get picked. And then I started noticing like, you know, it's raining every day. And like the sun shows up every day. And like, you know, with people, if I go to a group of people, I can tell them like, do something. And at some point they can disagree with me, because we all have free will. And then they can question me and be like, why do you do this when you know that you're not going to get anything from it? And then I look at the sun, I'm like, you know, the sun shows up every day, and like it rains, and like the wind is nature's consistent, you know?
It always shows up.
And there's never a time where I would ask the sun like, why?
what do you get in return?
Yeah,
You're right, man. I hear your point of view. There is a lot of us, man. There are a lot of us out here who we have ideas, or they come to us, these ideas. Like, multiple times, man, I even wrote essays, like a long essay in the community group. I sort of point, people towards what could work. It's because I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? And I watch a lot of people make moves, and I take those inspirations, bring them to the community. I post like a long message on the group to say, what if we could do something that can improve how we organize, because organization and participation in community projects, it need organization. What if we could organize ourselves and our finances? How many people do we have? Like, I even know the number of houses we have, and not neighborhoods, head count of people who live in Kwaggasrand and West Park. You're talking about 5,000 people. You're talking about combined Pretoria, Kwaggasrand, and you're talking about 5,000 people. It's a lot of people.
I thought it was like 2,000.
2,500. 2,500 households. Wow. Like houses, and then you're talking about 5,000 or more people. So there is a lot of people here, and I sort of brought it to the community group to say, what if, as a community, I was going to the point of saying that a lot of us get these calls but we don't answer. We get ideas, and I think it's a spiritual thing, and I think the spiritual being in us, we are always receiving messaging, communication in different ways. I could meet you, and you were the door that is going to come to me and, you know, prompt me to do something. Or it could come in a dream. It could come as an idea, daydreaming. I'm being pointed towards doing something, but I entertain that idea and then I write it off.
Okay.
What happened with me is for multiple times I was active in the community group. Like we were talking before we started shooting. In the community group, there are people who come up with initiatives, and those initiatives come and they go. They come, they don't materialize, then they fall off. and another one comes, and we have to go through this cycle of over and over. A new person comes with an idea, they start it, they don't get support, they leave it. So I sort of put it forward to the people to say, what if we could organize ourselves? Each individual, we contribute 20 rand per month. We already have 5,000 people or 2,500 households. That's a lot of money. You contribute 2 rands. You already have, 20 rands. You're already talking about 20,000, 25,000 per month. Organize and I was talking about this thing towards crime. Like I was saying, the crime thing, why most of the kids, they end up gravitating towards crime and drugs. And I've seen it. I've experienced it firsthand, dealing with a drug addict who, has parents. Both parents are alive, but because of the environment, and there's love there. The parents love them, but the environment is just taking that child, putting them on the streets. There's no sports. There is no activities. There's no community center where you can go and play mraba. You can go there and play tennis. Not even, that's a white dominated sport. Not even tennis, but soccer.
But those it's fun too. Like,
yeah, and it's exercise.
True.
It stimulates your body and your brain, and then you're not going to think about crime or drugs. But because of the environment where we are in, we are failing to organize. I think to ask one parent to sponsor a team may be too much, but to ask 2,000 parents to each contribute 20 rands, that can assist. You can buy a kit.
Different sports too.
You can do many, a variety of sports, sports codes. You can do soccer. You can do, running. You can do, there's a lot, man. We don't have swimming pools here. Like we were discussing, there's a swimming pool which is dormant in our park in Pretoria West. So I sort of brought this as a suggestion to the community, and many people, to my surprise, they agreed with it. I was thinking I'm going to get backlash. I'm not going to get support, but many people agreed, and they even told me on the group that we thought about this. It could work. I was talking about it towards solving crime, to say that you don't have to pay 300 rand for an alarm company to come and help. We could each contribute 20 rands, and then we have protection. We have people who can solve the crime issue in our area. Every month, there's 25,000 going to that company. If you could make it 100 rand, even more, you even have more money. You could even have people looking after our entry points. There are many entry points to Pretoria West, and every neighborhood has an entry point. You have a gate, sort of like a gate, but you don't have a fence. It's just houses. There's an entry point. You could have people, security companies looking at those entry points. With 20 rands, it can take care of those people. And those people can come from our own community. So with the sports thing and the children thing, we can build a team. If we can just say, let's do each household, we are asking for a 20 rand donation monthly. This is the team that we have. It could help build those ideas. You'll be surprised that they can get supported. And a lot of people have heard them. I was coming to your idea of saying that a lot of us, you meet a lot of people, they get this call or the prompt to do something. They see the problems. They get a call to say, start a team, start a soccer team, start a karate thing. I mean, kids love karate. Not to be saying that they are going to be violent with it, but it's just fun for kids. Start a karate team, start a soccer team, things of that nature. And if there is support, I think we can find ourselves in a place where you're not asking too much of one person, but as a group of people, if we can just find it within ourselves to start, then maybe we can, that's an alternative that I'm thinking, and there are not many people like you in this community who have gone on for years and years building something, trying it here, going in another area, try the same thing. Many people, once they get failed attempts and they don't get supported, they leave it. They focus on whatever they are focusing on, and then they leave it. But I think you have heart, man, to be taking this thing on, and it's not an idea that you initiated and you tried. it failed and then you wrote it off, you're still continuing it, which shows that the leadership that you have, man. So I think we need to come up with something. I didn't even know why I'm starting this podcast, but I think now while I'm talking to you, I'm getting ideas. I was having a totally different idea about where I'm going to go with this podcast in the next year. It was focused on business. But not everything is about business. Some things have to be about the problems we are facing in our community. We are facing a lot, man. So what do you think in your point of view? Let's say now I'm you. I'm getting called, or God is calling me to start a team. What do I need? Let's say I'm living in a community of, you can even do a soccer team in a complex, man. You can live in an estate with 200 people. You can start a soccer team there. So let's start small. Let's say I'm living in a community which is gated. It's a complex with houses and middle class parents. Some middle class are more equal than others. Others are earning 12,000. Others are earning Boma 50. We are all middle class. It's all the same. So you are living in a community. I'm you. I'm Ofentse. I'm living in a community of 200 households. Let's not even go to 5,000. 200 households, 100 rand each. How much money is that? Are you good with maths, bro? Let's 200 rand. 200 houses. Each household is bringing 100 rand. I'm Ofentse. I'm building a team. I want support from my community. What do I need, and what type of resources do I need to start, and how much do they cost? I just need I live in a household of 200, in a community of 200 houses. Maybe there's one child who can play in each household. Let's say 100 kids, or let's go with your number, 70 kids.
With 100 is 20,000.
Yeah. Let's say you are living in a community which is like urban. It's a flat block of flats with 200 flats. There are kids there, maybe 70 of these houses. They have kids that can play, and you need the support. What do you need the support for? What type of material do you need to build this team and help this community? Because it can even happen in a community of 200 people. You can have a kid who goes on drugs in that community. So what would you need to start?
So I'm gonna try to answer from what you said before as well.
Yeah.
So I tried to start a farm, right?
Okay.
I planted vegetables and I cleared the ground.
Where was this?
This was in the yard at home.
Right here in Pretoria. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, I wasn't starting a farm. I was farming though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Same technical difference. Yeah. Yeah, that's farming. I have a farm at the backyard, by the way.
Hey, bed.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
You seen it? Yeah.
So I tried to do the same thing, and I cleared the soil like once.
Okay.
And I planted the seeds and everything was growing well.
Yeah.
Until like the weeds started growing back.
Yeah.
And they were like competing with what I planted.
Yeah.
So it was
happens a lot. Yeah.
Sure. So it was hard for me to recognize like what I planted, because I had
versus the weeds.
Yeah. So after maybe a couple of days, I could start telling the difference, and then I could take them out.
Yeah.
But like when I took them out, it was kind of disturbing the soil. So now, let's say I had tomatoes, like they weren't standing up straight anymore because the soil was not as compact.
Yeah.
And when it was raining as well, like they started like growing sideways.
Yes.
And like consistently, like my plants were facing challenges in the environment where I had to keep protecting them from like consumers.
Yes.
I call the weeds consumers because like all
they're just taking.
Yeah. And then eventually what I noticed is that like in other areas where I was clearing out the soil like consistently, like they don't grow back, like the weeds don't grow back.
Yeah.
So now I noticed that it's my place to ensure that like if I'm getting a calling, right?
Yeah.
I have to listen to the calling. Okay, since you said you were me, right?
Yeah. I'm
sure.
Yeah.
So like you listen to the calling, and then after you listen to the calling, what you heard is actually your resources.
Yes.
So like you take those resources, but you don't consume them. Because like that seems to be the consistent problem.
Okay.
Where like we get resources, but then instead of seeing where we could take them next, we actually want to like
consume.
Oh, yeah,
this is me. This is for me.
Yeah. And like I feel like it's also that culture, because like you mentioned that, you know, we want to be like our parenting style wants to be adapted to like the white parenting style as well.
Yes.
And what I've noticed is that like African culture, African tradition, like there's that element of letting our kids be free. And like when they're free in this evolved time period, like there's a harsher tone on that freedom. Cause like back then, like take Gussie for example, wherever I go, man, there's an element of danger, but then there's also a trust in that like my environment is looking after me. So now it's not necessarily the environment, but it's like the people that I can trust.
Yeah.
So here, there isn't really that much of a trust to say that I trust my neighbor with my kids.
Yes.
Because like, even if I've gone and introduced myself and stuff, and I've also given ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
If you give me knowledge, like you tell me stuff, and then I don't use that knowledge to like give back to you to reciprocate in our relationship.
Yes.
Then I've just consumed like your calling.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stop your calling, and I'm like, I'm not really helping you.
Yeah.
Even though I know that like what you told me is good and it's going to help me too.
Yeah.
So I feel like those are the consumers.
Yeah.
And
parasites. Like just taking.
Yeah.
Not adding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the thing that leads to this consumption like mechanism, dysregulation.
Dysregulation. Yeah. You've mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. So those that are dysregulated, they need to now stop their own. I feel like they try to consume as a form of like escaping then. But this escapism, it's like a non-ending consumption that kind of leads them to their demise.
Yeah.
So now, in order to help that out, like what I've learned, because I've also had like addiction problems.
Okay.
So what I've learned is that I need to accept my mortality.
Okay.
And then I need to accept my weakness.
Yeah.
So I'm not as strong as I think I am. I'm as strong as I am.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna live as long as I'm here.
Okay.
But like I can't really go there. Like I have to be in the present type thing.
Understanding. Yeah, it's my first time hearing like understanding your mortality.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us we postpone it. We know it because you know everybody one day we're going to die. But I don't think we embrace it. I don't think we embrace our own mortality. We think we are invincible.
Yeah.
We live like we're not going to die, and we postpone this thought of mortality. So it's you know, I hear you on that. So where I was trying to go,
I'm still going there.
Oh yes.
So
yeah, let's go. No, I was trying to say let's go to a point where I'm Ofentse, I need help. I want to take this team of 70 kids or available kids of 70, take us through it. Where are we going? What help do we need if 20,000 is made available to us on a regular? Not every month, but on a regular. If we push ourselves and ask, it could be available. So where are you taking us in terms of the plan and the requirements? What do we need and what can we achieve with 20,000?
Sure. So where I was going with that, Ned.
Yes.
So comparing that field of the garden,
yes,
compared to our environment, there has to be like discernment. So now, say with your calling, right? You're gonna hear your calling, and then you're gonna hear multiple other voices saying similar things.
That usually happens.
Yes. But like, there's always like a small change, and it's like the more tuned in you are to your calling, the less likely you are to like off ramp with it. So we pause the consumption thing. Now we'll go into like the showing up part.
Okay.
So now
you must show up to the call.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So what I've noticed consistently is that automatic negative thinking. Then
okay.
That's when like you focus on your calling, and then at some point you start to meet your old habits.
Okay.
And now you have to accept yourself the way that you are, but then you have to release yourself to the point where you can go to the next stage. So, for example, if you're mentioning bringing up a team, I've had instances where I've gone to parents, I've asked for permission for them to their kids to participate.
Yes.
And a lot of the talking ended up with, when is it going to happen? And so I would set a time.
That makes it sound like the parents are thinking this thing is just happening one day, we are done.
Yeah.
Or if they're asking, I'm asking permission for your child, we're going to play. They ask you, when is it going to happen? It's not like they're thinking. That's my own perception. It's not like they're thinking it's going to happen every day or every week. They're thinking, when is it going to happen? They want to release, and then they expect the child to come back. We are done. That's what I'm getting. So you did go around, ask for permission, speak to the parents, and then they're responding to you.
So, I like the analogy of the calling thing, right? If the resources are available, the parents are available, the children are available, and the environment is available, I feel like you would have to be, you'd have to go there. You have to do it afraid. You have to realize that there's room for growth, and you have to realize that there's projections as well. Cause people have tried to do it before, and people can tell you to your face, you can't do it. It's impossible.
They always discourage you because of their experience.
Yeah. And then people will end up projecting where they think that their limit is where your limit is going to be as well.
Yeah. Which is true.
Yeah. So there's a point where we have to get narrow vision. You focus on your calling, and sometimes that stepping away from people thing is not necessarily ending the relationship. It's also not an opportunity to say bad things about people because we feel it's irreparable or something.
Yes.
It could also be an opportunity to just extend the distance so that they can also have the space to realize when you were there, I noticed that things were different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a parent, for example.
Yeah.
When he had a soccer practice or whatever, there was a difference. But when you step away, it gives them that opportunity to view, the void that is left by not having.
And I think that's the culture we're coming from. Since this coalition thing is happening.
Yes.
I've noticed that when I'm alone, right, I used to have instances where I want to go back and I want to tell them to their face, you did this, and
Yeah.
but it's not in my nature, honestly. I realized it's just a desire for vengeance, for justice.
Yeah.
And I realized that I keep going back because I care about somebody.
Yes.
And the consequences thing, where my leaving or my stopping is it's a consequence thing.
Yeah.
Because I've learned that if people don't respect us, then they can just keep on taking it. They can abuse our grace and mercy. And I feel if I was in that position that you're talking about, I already know people who form teams. I know people who are on their calling, and it's just a matter of the right environment, the right people.
Network. Yes.
Yeah.
You know people.
Yeah. And then those that were left behind, they have to catch up, because it's not we're leaving them. We're all living in one space. So I think that those are the conditions where we can have projects that are going to grow and projects that are going to be fruitful, so that even if we step away from the environment, even the kids, they know what to do. They know how to be. And then they no longer have to rely on escaping. They can be in that space. They can face those challenges and overcome them.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Trusting people in this neighborhood is scary.
Yeah. I mean, I know how you feel. I've been around here for 10 years, but I still have reservations. Man. And even on a personal level, it's hard for me to trust. And I guess other people are like that also. So when you are in an environment like this, it's difficult to let people trust you or to trust them.
Yeah, it's like we have security, but we don't. We keep telling each other we're okay, but we need like reality. We need to keep each other in reality.
Yeah. No, man, I hear you. So it's tough, man. But I think I have an interest because if I didn't have children, I wouldn't be so interested in, trying to address things that affect children. It's always like that when you are not affected by a problem directly, you sort of, leave it by the side. You don't really give it much attention until it affects you directly. So let's say you live in a community where you have Senten here, you have Alexander here, Senten people are okay and all of that until they're not okay anymore. Then they start to care about the living standards of Alex. For example, if you are in a gated community, crime doesn't affect you. The moment that the walls of your gated community are down, you start to care about who's next to you. You start to care if, are they eating? Are they hungry? Because if they are hungry and there's no wall that is blocking them from coming to your place, they're going to come. So as a parent, I'm concerned and I'm worried about children because I envision my child when he's 18, he's in an environment where there's influences and there's no sports, there's no community center where he can, find belonging. And soccer is a very good thing, man, for kids because they find a place where they belong. They have a leader like yourself, a coach who takes them, leads them. Some of them, they don't have fathers. Some of them, they live with aunties in their homes. But when they have a coach, it's a good example for them. It builds them and it gives them, a place where they belong. And for some kids, it's gym. And I know a child in my village who lost a brother, due to suicide. And the brother was a friend of mine. So immediately after the death, that boy, I don't know where he got that ambition to start exercising and gymming. He transformed and he's the only child left, like the only male child left now in the house. It's all ladies. He's the only guy left. So I feel there's a weight on him to be a leader. And it makes me feel like I want to cry thinking about it because I was close with a guy who took his own life and he left the younger brother to now step up. And then I was saying that sports for some kids is soccer. Some kids are not good at soccer. It's gym for them. And for young men, gymming, it sort of brings that testosterone. It makes them feel like they're in their zone. It changes their character. It builds them. So he started gymming. I saw him 6 months later. The boy was transformed. He was like muscles and everything. And he was hanging out before his brother passed. He was hanging out with guys who were smoking weed. He stopped. I think kids need that inspiration. It can be gym, it can be sports, and with sports it's even better. There's a coach. There's a coach who's going to build these kids up. And we don't have land, man. We are living in rented spaces. We are living in spaces that are owned by the government. All we are asking is a field. It's not like we are buying the field or we are building a house on it. It can even
we're not squatting.
Yeah, we're not putting shacks on it.
Cool.
It can even be white owned, man. The whites are not going to lose anything by letting us play on that field. It can even be government owned, but like you said earlier, it's not legal to play in a park. But parks are open, man, and they are not being used. And kids it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Kids need a place to play sports. It's weird that they're not allowed to play in a park. You are breaking the law. So what I was saying,
illegal gathering.
So what I was saying with this is like, man, we just need a ground to play in, and the coach is there. There are many like you. Some of them more committed or less committed than you. Some of them, they commit, then they leave it. But there are people like you who want to get into the thing of building teams, and you need, what do you need? Transport. Let's say you are in a gated community,
True.
you are building a team. You're not going to play in that community only. You're going to travel. You are going to move different places. So you
like
need
tournaments as well as like
association
leagues.
or a league, or even a weekend or a 1 month tournament where you play 4 games in
True.
1 week, second week, third week. On the 4th week, you play finals. You just need, a place where you can belong, and a structure where you can meet with other teams.
So it definitely would make a difference. And I would also ask if like parents participated in a sense where, like for a tournament, for example,
Yes.
if parents are there and, okay, I can give you like an example of what happened when we had a match, right?
Yes.
The kids did very badly.
Yes.
And then like the parents were trying to like gather the kids together to ask them like, is the coach teaching you the right thing?
Okay.
And like,
as they should be, as parents.
yeah.
So they were
Like,
asking their kids.
Sure. And they were also vetting the kids to see like, are these the right kids for the team,
Okay.
And eventually like the team kept developing.
Yes.
And all it took was like character development for them to start realizing like what they're capable of.
Okay.
So if all that is available, then it would really make a big difference.
Okay.
And I've come to even acknowledge that if I have everything, like I have kids, I have equipment,
Yes.
cones, balls,
Yeah.
and transport,
Yeah.
and like the environment and tournaments as well.
Yes.
Like those resources could be used for like other sports as well,
Yeah.
to a point where like we don't just limit to like the
Soccer.
one,
The one code, sport code.
yeah.
No, man, that's, I was telling you that when I started the podcast, my end goal or I'm coming from a finance and business background. I studied finance. I studied accounting. I've been in corporate for like 15 years. I'm young, but I've worked for over 15 years
Timeless. You look timeless, bro.
Yeah, man. So, my goal, because of my background, is with this podcast, I want to sit down with people who are in business and sit down with people who want to be in business. And what I want to do is identify those who need support and bring those who have been there and who are still there in business succeeding, to sort of find this one young person who wants to do a business similar to whatever they are seeing in the space of, let's say, Pretoria or even South Africa as a whole. Get someone who's committed to teaching the young ones, the new generation, and bring them together. I sit down with one who's already doing it. I sit down with one who aspires to do it, and I connect them. And I even want to, the goal is to get resources funneled to the people who are coming up. If it takes 1,000 rand to start a cupcake business. I've sold cupcakes before. When, we're sitting here, we're looking at my son. When my son was like 3 years old, 2 years old, I was unemployed. The job I had ended. When it ended, I was living in Soweto.
Okay.
I was living in Soweto. I joined a community of young entrepreneurs. It was in, I don't know if you know, but I think you know, Constitution Hill in Johannesburg. There was a community and a business hub there that took people who were willing to start with 100 rand. They tell you, we're not going to give you the 100 rand. Come up with 100. Show us that you can build. Show us that you can build a business from 100 rand to 2,500 or whatever amount. Whoever does the most in a week from 100 rand. All of you start with 100. Ask your friends, ask your parents for 100 rand start. Whoever makes the most from 100 rand, we are going to fund you. We are going to give you 50,000. Then you can improve your business idea from small to big. So that was how I participated in that. I was trying to support him, support my son. I sold cupcakes. I walked around Soweto house by house selling cupcakes. So I want to say that with this podcast, I want to sit down with people who are succeeding in business and sit down with those who want to start or who are already doing something. So that was the idea when I said that I'm coming from a business point of view, and I want to take this podcast to where I can take whoever wants to start. We find funding for them. I'm sure there are many people who will want to participate, to give support to a young man who wants to start a business. Give them 1,000 rand, start, show us what you can do with it. If you can drive yourself, push yourself, come back with 15,000 from 1,000 rand in 2 months. We are going to give you 100,000. We are going to mentor you. I'm not good at that, but I know people who can. I know people who have been succeeding, who can mentor that young person. And I know other people who have money, who can give money to that young person who's starting a business. So with this sports thing, and because I have an interest, I have a child who is in sports, who plays soccer, and there are many kids in the community. So what I think is, if we could organize, and I'm not saying this, and I'm not going to leave it like mention it and then leave it. I want us to work together, and then mobilize. Man, we can. I have the drive to. I've done door-to-door selling before. And you told me that you did door-to-door, went to parents asking. I've done door-to-door with selling houses in Centurion. I would go each door knocking patiently, looking for the other person to come out, and I'm ready. When they come out that door, I'm ready to present what I'm looking for, what I'm going to give to them. So I would knock on a door and say that I'm Eugene. I work for this company. I'm looking to help you sell your house. So it starts like that. You have a house, I knock at a door, somebody's gonna come. I'm looking to help you sell your house. I already know they're selling. So in your case, you already know there's a child in this house. You already know this child will need to participate in sports. They will need to be part of whatever it is. So I have that drive. We can do it together. We can bring other people who can help rebuild this thing, and also test it. See if those that I've asked before to say that we could contribute 20 rand, are they really about it? Are they really committed to giving 20 rand? 20 rand is a loaf of bread. You can sacrifice one day without bread just to take your own child to a sports ground and have a coach and have kids and have, equipment that can help them. So I think let's, using this platform, let's look for people who are willing to work with us in this community. We don't have to go far. We start in this community. So we build a team, and then for the benefit of the kids, it starts with you. You know what to do. That's why I was saying that if you have 200, it's only how many? 10% of the families that are here. If we have 2,000 houses, we target only 200 houses. We ask them for 20 rand or for their child. Start, you know the introduction, you know the pitch. Let's go again, ask them for their child. You already have children that you have worked with before. So how do we go about it now? From this point, if we're saying it's me and you and we have 4 other people, we are 6. Now we want to start working on this thing, and you are the one who's working on it. Where could we start?
Okay, so I've had an initiative as well.
Okay.
So this process that you just described, the entrepreneurial process for getting sponsorship, is something that I've done before, but I wasn't doing it for, I wasn't sure actually that it would lead to sponsorship. So I used to go to groups of my peers, the same groups that I was with when I started out my journey. And I would consistently learn things about why they're struggling. And I would see how they affect me in return. Because what I noticed a lot is that sometimes I'm okay, but the person I'm around is not okay.
Yeah.
And it's not the time for us to be forming a codependent relationship where I'm helping them with reality and they depend on me for reality.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've noticed is that like reality is within all of us. Like as long as we have our identities, then we can play out like our callings individually.
Yeah.
So somebody did say that once. They said like, we're not calling for groups, we're calling for each individual.
Yes.
Because like all of them do know that they want to do something.
Yeah.
And when I was with those groups, I would like learn about psychology. I would learn about business. I'd learn about management.
Yeah.
And I'd go back to them. And to my surprise, they went to school. They have degrees for management, for logistics.
Yeah.
Like if they could form an organization, but like they don't have funding for it, like they could form a committee. They could form like a youth league, you know,
like a business forum.
Yeah, like
youth forum.
Yeah, because like they have the experience from school, but like they don't know how to apply it in the environment.
Yeah.
And like what I notice is, especially with what you're bringing up as well, like when we're going to be working together, there's going to be a challenge of like we each have to face our challenges. True. And then like there's the big challenge that we'll all have to like.
We're all trying to address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it's that growth. Cause like we start out small and then as we grow, it's like we have to grow with the evolution.
Yeah.
So what I notice is that like they stayed not because they don't want to go forward. It's like they ran out of hope. And if something like this does happen, let's say we have a market day or we have like a creative management course, and like we call them together and we tell them like, you know, they have experience. We want to know what they can do. And we're not really like our criteria is based on where they're going. Cause like where they are is like, it might not be either, we're not perfect, you know, like I said earlier, like we're not called to be perfect. We're called to be honest.
Yeah.
So like if they can get to the point where they have a relationship with the truth, and like we can all like cooperate in a truthful manner. Like I feel like people would come out of their rigor mortis.
Okay.
And then so far like there's a WhatsApp group here in Pretoria.
Yeah, you mentioned that briefly, yes.
And like they have small businesses that they've started.
Okay.
And they don't really have like the platform to like a directory where they can actually have people like be pointed to.
Yeah.
You know?
And capital or funding is one of the challenges that you face when you're starting. So to have a contact or a network of funding or someone who can direct you to where you can get it, it's important.
So working in like primary schools, I've had to work with contracts.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed is that when the contract is finished, then like everything I was trying to build is also done. So like I have to save that money. I have to like put it away. I have to forget about it. Like I can't do anything about it, you know? And that type of planning, like it's not really consistent. And so what I noticed is that like, let's say I was reading books about entrepreneurship. Like I learned that whenever something happens, we're supposed to see it as an opportunity instead of a threat. You know, like taking self-control seriously, like having grit and being enthusiastic about what we want to do in life. Like these things, they're things that we like have to consistently like reinforce. So
it's like a muscle you need to consistently work on.
So I think that was what I was doing before the coaching thing. Okay. Like I was doing like life coaching. And then like I evolved to like
the kids and the sports. Okay. No, man, I think let's work, man. Let's definitely talk after this.
Yeah, we can definitely build
after this podcast or after this episode. Let's definitely take this further. And it's not all of us who are, you know, called to do something, but we can support someone who's called. You know, it's not all of us who are going to be very good with kids. A few of us are good, but we can all, because of our interests, we can all support those who can take the calling. Yeah. So I think let's take it further in terms of just discussing where do we start, the steps that we can take, and find. You can add me to that group also, the group that is currently here in West Park or Pretoria West, and then I don't want to lead it because there's already people there. I can just participate and add my input and support you, man. Because I think there's a reason why we met. We didn't just meet because I met like 3 people when I came that day.
Yeah.
But it was you that I connected with. So I think there's a reason for that. Let's take the conversation further and see what we can do to rebuild. Because it's not just sports, man. There's people's lives at hand.
Yeah.
There's people's lives at risk if there is no belonging and there's no community projects or sports projects. People's lives and children's lives can go totally left if we don't have structures like that. So I think let's work on that.
You even saying like this place is a hybrid, so
Yeah.
we're kind of doing something we've never seen before. Like,
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
We have half of the parents are committed. Not even half, man. 20% of them, they may participate. So that's why I'm saying let's target not all of them, target 10% of the households.
You know what I've seen as well with like this coalition thing?
Yeah.
It's like each party seems to be representing the constitution,
Yeah.
but they represent it in unique ways.
Yeah.
So I feel like those that aren't participating, it's not that they're not doing their part. They just need to find a way to express it in a way where like we can understand them and like we can agree with them.
Yeah. So must identify with a certain part of,
Yeah, like we just need to
Mm.
allow each other to be vulnerable enough to be like to come out into the community.
Yeah.
Like you said, the walls might come down, and
Yeah.
when that happens, bro, like
definitely,
like
man.
we need to strengthen.
Yeah, we need to
And-
stand together because
Yeah,
it can happen. It's not far from, from reality. What could be the downfall of our country? It can be tomorrow. It can happen next week or next month. There can be an uprising of a certain part of our community. And then we are living next to each other. We are even living in the same spaces. So if one of us will believe in a certain thing, it's not doing well, the others are going to suffer also. Or whenever there's hunger, whoever has the most stands to lose. Whoever has the most resources stands to lose. Those who don't have, they're just coming to take. So I think we need to start this dialogue of working together, of building these communities and strengthening our, social cohesion. We need to join hands and work together. So I believe because of the fact that we are living in a society that is, integrated with different parts, we have to find each other. And people like you, man, we clap hands for you, man.
Hey, shout out to South
Clap hands
Africa,
for
bro.
you because you found it upon yourself to answer the call.
Cool.
Not every, and I know somebody at my church who is working with kids. Yeah, but she's very good at that. She's very good at working with kids, but it's in a very small part of the community church, and she will not be looking to go outside and do that thing outside. She's just doing it in a church environment. But outside, there are so many kids that need that. Not many kids will end up at a church door, but where we are living, we go to them.
Great.
Those who are called, we go to the kids, because not all of them are going to find their way to church. School is a good way to start, because every child, we assume they go to school, and then community, you will find them in a community. Then we start to reach out to their parents. So thank you very much, man. I think we have touched a lot, man. Anything you wanna say, or any idea that you have that you want us to discuss, we'll be wrapping up soon. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk about anything, man, that you wanna
Okay.
talk about. Yeah, everything that we've been talking about, it's all yours though, man. We were focused on you and what you're doing. But if there's any other thing, let's discuss it.
I wanted to talk about gratitude.
Okay.
So it's getting harder to be thankful for like having neighbors.
Okay.
And it's in, I think like we're at like a peak.
Okay.
With us as citizens choosing that our political parties gotta work together.
Yes.
I feel like we also have to start recognizing each other.
Yeah.
But like, you know, those people that stopped working, those people that stopped trying.
Yeah.
Like having gratitude for them, because I feel like it also builds resentment to the point where people like end up hating people and they end up hating having answered the call when at the end of the day, like all that was supposed to do was supposed to take us to like, I guess, to the promised land, let's say.
Yeah.
So having gratitude for those also that like, that try to help.
Yeah.
Cause I've had neighbors like talk to me, they offered me guidance, and I eventually had to like go to other places and consistently going back. Like it was hard for me to accept that, you know, people are doing good things, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm not saying we should host like a award ceremony
for the people who are dealing with social issues.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we should have like braai, you know, like we make a braai and then like we hang out as a community, like that family day thing.
Yeah.
We turn it into like we get to know our neighbors, we get to express ourselves, and like we'll see what our environment can do for us.
Yeah.
Because like I know people who left their interests as well. And like I want them to re-find that, you know, like parents also get an opportunity to play. Like look at tournament they join netball, and I was like
yeah, man, that's good, to be honest with you, to be grateful for. I think people like you, or people who are addressing problems, not necessarily looking for a return or a payment. We don't give you guys too much respect. There are many people, so that's why you see that if you get an opportunity to leave and go somewhere else, you will gladly do it, because where you are, the people you are serving, they are not grateful for the support you are giving or the work you're doing. So that's why when another community comes and take you away, you would gladly take that opportunity, because where you are, and it's always like that. I've heard a saying that, I've heard it in church, that most apostles, they get respect from another village, not the village where they come from. Even pastors, they get respect from strangers, not from their family. You'll have a very great, powerful pastor in your family or in your village, no respect in their village. But other villages where they don't have such, they see value in this spiritual leader, in this leader, or apostles are leaders. I'm not sure if you understand the concept of an apostle. Is a pastor of pastors.
You can pioneer.
Yeah. So,
Let's say you cannot be praised from where you are coming from.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. You don't get praise from your neighborhood or where you originate from. Your origins, they don't, no respect at all, no praise. It's the far land that respects you, that gives you your flowers. So that's what I wanted to say. Gratitude, man, I think we need to revive that. We need to have a community and society that understands that what you have, man, is important, and it addresses a certain community problem that we are facing. Most communities are facing this, and there are people who dedicate themselves to solving that or working at solving it. But we don't give you enough gratitude and respect. But I think it's something we need to change.
You know, coincidentally, I was planning on doing an internship.
Okay.
Go there's like a community initiative
Yes.
program that they're doing in the United States.
Okay.
So they take about, I'm not sure how many South Africans, but like they sponsor their tuition, they sponsor their accommodation,
Wow.
and it's only for a year.
Okay.
And like when they return back to South Africa, that year worth of internship, like first 2 years of a bachelor's degree.
Wow. So that gets credited.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So I was actually looking to do that because I was starting to notice that like there was a lot of interest for me culturally with like what the Americans are doing.
Yeah.
And then some of the ideas that I got, I actually saw them from like the community colleges.
Yes.
So
That's a big thing in the US.
Yeah.
Community colleges.
yeah.
They've built a lot of leaders.
So I wanted to like do that and then come back home. And then after that, like see how much that changes things, you know?
Yeah, man. That can actually take you to another level, man. On the last episode, we discussed something like that traveling actually opens your eyes. Traveling or actually, and we need skills that we don't have here. You go out from here to another country or even to another province. Bring what you learn from there. You know, it makes you a different person, and it gives you a different perspective when you come back to your own country or your own community. What you have learned, what you have gathered, skills and information that you have, it will help you build something to a much greater potential than if you had just stayed and continued. So if you leave and go somewhere, it builds you up, it equips you to do things much better.
So what if I don't go? Like, what if I get an opportunity at home and I'm like, okay, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Will I still get that growth or what?
yeah. The growth can come, and trying and failing, and even where you are, if you try repeatedly, you fail. It grows you. It gives you, that drive to want to try. Even if you don't go anywhere, you just stay here. You keep doing what you're doing. Definitely there will be growth, but it needs like a community. It doesn't need just one person.
Yeah, I remember when I was learning to cook pap, bro. I used to burn it.
yeah.
Like I used to burn it a lot, and then I went to live in Joburg for like a year.
In Joburg, Josie.
Yeah. And I was living by myself. Like I wasn't cooking pap at all.
Yeah.
When I came back home, like I could cook pap properly.
Yeah, you learn, man. Everywhere we go, we learn new skills, man.
True.
Yeah, definitely. So, man, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, man. That's very good. Your input to today, it sort of sparked new ideas, and we bounced ideas off each other. So this gives us, an opportunity to work together, build a friendship, and do it for the kids, man. And in the process, you are growing, I'm growing, and the community is benefiting. So it's definitely a good thing, man. So I think that's it for today. This was a good one. It was long also. We definitely did something great. So I'm very grateful, man, that we sat and we talked. And thank you so much. So I think that's a wrap.